The people of Imole village began to complain about the new queen, but anyone caught saying anything negative about the queen was instantly beheaded. The queen also insisted that she carried out these beheadings by herself. In 2 short years, Imole village was one of the mightiest villages in the ancient Yoruba kingdom. The return of Olori, the evil queen. Babatunde, the village rainmaker, Volume 2. It has been 10 years since Queen Aduke was banished from Oriade village and cast out into the evil forest. The once proud and beautiful queen was now frail and wretched. Hunger gnawed at her belly and fear gnawed at her soul. She had survived by scavenging for scraps and sleeping in hollowed out logs, all the while consumed by burning hatred for Babatunde, the rainmaker who had exposed her treachery, and King Adetunji for not fighting for her. One moonlit night, as Olori Aduke whimpered in despair, a pair of glowing eyes peered through the darkness. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and otherworldly. It was an ancient forest spirit, its voice a raspy whisper that sent shivers down Queen Aduke's spine. The spirit spoke of Olori's wickedness, a darkness that resonated within the evil forest. It offered her a chance for revenge, a power to strike back at those who had wronged her. Blinded by rage and the desperation to survive, Olori readily agreed. The forest spirits bestowed upon Olori a twisted gift, eternal life bound by a cruel curse. She would remain youthful and alive, but for every year that passed, she would be forced to take the life of another. Olori, fueled by vengeance, accepted this pact, a terrible bargain that sealed her fate. As the years melted away, Olori Aduke remained forever youthful and beautiful in appearance. However, a darkness lurked within. She lurked around the edges of the 9 villages in the ancient Yoruba kingdom, watching as King Babatunde helped his village, Iremo, and her former village, Oriade, prosper under his rule. News of the once barren and miserable land of Oriade flourishing reached far and wide to the 9 villages in the old Yoruba kingdom. One of the neighboring villages was called Imole, and it was ruled by the greedy king Kola. The king grew envious of Iremo and Oriade. However, King Kola was not as powerful or influential as King Babatunde or even the old and weary King Adetunji. Therefore, all he could do was watch from a distance as both kingdoms prospered alongside each other. King Babatunde Adewaja and Queen Adekemi were beloved by the people of Iremo and Oriade village. They were respected by the kings and citizens of other villages as well. Queen Adekemi recently gave birth to twin boys, and the ceremony was the biggest the village of Iremo and Oriade had seen in a while. The ceremony lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. The people of Iremo and Oriade were very happy with their respective kings and queens. Rain now fell at will, and King Babatunde rarely had to use his powers. In fact, some rumors had traveled around the 7 villages that since King Babatunde no longer used his powers as a rainmaker, the gods of the land have collected the power to call rain back from him. In the similarly prosperous but much smaller village of Imole, King Kola recently lost his wife, the queen, to the dangerous Kigi forest. It was rumored that the queen went looking for herbs with her guards one evening, and none of them ever returned back from that trip. A few weeks later, some bones and clothing were found at the entrance of the forest. The clothes belonged to the queen of Imole village, the wife of King Kola. It has been a few months since the queen of Imole village died, and King Kola was in dire search of a new queen. The king called upon the young, beautiful women in the village to come for a duel in the hope of becoming his queen, if any of them was the last one standing. On the next market day, After the king made his announcement, hordes of beautiful young women from all over the village came to fight for their chance to become the king's bride. King Kola eventually chose 40 women out of the many women who showed interest and announced that they would each fight each other in pairs until there was only one woman remaining. King Kola said he preferred his queen to be beautiful, defiant, and strong, and bear loyalty to him and him alone. While all the women that were chosen for the contest were beautiful, there was one that caught his eyes like no other. Her name was Olabisi. Olabisi was as beautiful as she was strong. She was a tall woman with soulful eyes, round cheeks, and a slightly squared off jaw. She looked strong and moved with confidence. Olabisi wiped the floor with every woman who had been chosen for the contest, and King Kola was very pleased. After a formidable and entertaining performance, she was declared the new queen of Imole village. King Kola loved the newly coronated queen Olabisi very much. King Kola showered her with gifts and pieces of land from all over the village. King Kola thought he was madly in love with his queen, and that was why he was doing so much for her. But the truth was that she had enchanted him with a dark magic. Queen Olabisi made King Kola go to war with villages he had once allied with and conquered them in the process. The people of Imole village began to complain about the new queen, but anyone caught saying anything negative about the queen was instantly beheaded. The queen also insisted that she carried out these beheadings by herself. In 2 short years, Imole village was one of the mightiest villages in the ancient Yoruba kingdom, on a similar scale to King Babatunde and King Adetunji's villages. Queen Olabisi was no stranger to war either, as she always fought alongside King Kola in his battles for conquest. The queen was King Kola's winning ace. Queen Olabisi was nicknamed the Queen of Conquest. One fateful day, Queen Olabisi whispered in King Kola's ear and told him that he could become considerably more powerful if he was able to capture King Babatunde and make him call rain upon their land. The bountiful harvest that they realized would help their village become more prosperous and have the cowries required to wage war against massive and prosperous villages like Oriade and Iremo. The king retorted, saying, "But there are rumors that say King Babatunde no longer wields the power of a rainmaker anymore. No one has seen him call upon the rain in over a decade." Queen Olabisi interrupted him, saying, "The king is still as capable and strong as ever. He is still the only rainmaker we have in this kingdom and beyond." Queen Olabisi told King Kola that one of her informants in Iremo village told her the king would be traveling to a nearby town the next day. She advised King Kola to use that opportunity to capture the young and powerful king. The next day, the sky was clear and the birds of the sky sang beautifully as King Babatunde and a dozen of his esteemed warriors, who also served as his loyal guards, walked the silent and beautiful forest path that led to the next village. While King Babatunde's guards stayed alert at all times, the last thing any of them expected was an ambush. After all, no one dared to attack the famous King Babatunde and his band of warriors. But on that fateful day, King Kola thought different. As soon as King Babatunde and his personal guards arrived at the spot where King Kola and his warriors were hiding, they were ambushed. A fierce battle ensued and Babatunde fought hard and strong. However, King Babatunde's men were killed and King Babatunde, now outnumbered and overpowered, was eventually subdued. The Imole warriors took him captive and dragged him back to Imole. It did not take long before the news of King Babatunde's capture reached Oriade and Iremo, plunging both nations into a state of rage. King Adetunji, though now old and weary, still had some fight left in him. He told Queen Adekemi, his daughter, that he was ready to go to war with the village of Imole. All she had to do was say the word. Queen Adekemi, King Babatunde's wife, wasted no time in rallying the rest of the warriors in Iremo village in a determined attempt to rescue her king and lover. Meanwhile, in the dungeons of Imole village, Babatunde refused to yield to the king's demand. He insisted that he would never use his powers for any selfish gains. King Kola was frustrated and enraged by Babatunde's defiance. He was so enraged that he ordered that King Babatunde be executed. On the day of the execution, warriors of King Kola dragged King Babatunde to the execution grounds. As the executioner prepared to behead Babatunde, Queen Olabisi insisted that she should be the one to kill Babatunde. The executioner was hesitant at first, and that hesitation cost him his life, as Queen Olabisi cast a spell on him with the flick of her finger. Her eyes gleamed with intense satisfaction as she went to grab the executioner's axe. Queen Olabisi moved closer to King Babatunde's face and whispered, "Do you remember me, Babatunde the commoner?" King Babatunde was stunned. He was still not sure what was going on. Queen Olabisi continued, "You and my husband banished me from the village and cast me away to the evil forest. You expected me to die in the evil forest, but here I am, a queen once again, as powerful as ever and more respected. It is me, Queen Aduke." King Babatunde was dumbfounded. He knew not what to say. Babatunde was shocked and horrified. "How can it be?" he murmured. Queen Olabisi, formerly known as Queen Aduke, raised the executioner's axe, ready to take the life of King Babatunde. She laughed, relishing in the captured king's fear. She declared that she would take his life and break the curse that bound her. Just as she was about to strike, Queen Adekemi of Iremo village and her father, King Adetunji, the ruler of Oriade, burst into the scene. A fierce battle ensued, and Queen Adekemi, a warrior in her own right, began to fight Queen Olabisi, whom she did not know was her mother. Queen Adekemi fought with the fury of a lioness, protecting her cubs. The warriors of Iremo, fueled by their loyalty to Babatunde and their village, fought valiantly as well. King Adetunji and the warriors of Oriade village took on King Kola and his warriors. The battle was fierce and unforgiving. All three villages lost many good warriors on that day. In the midst of the chaos, Queen Olabisi saw an opening to kill Babatunde and immediately launched forward in an attempt to kill him. There was a wicked glint in her eyes. She was sure that her dagger would reach him in time. But instead, Queen Adekemi jumped in front of the dagger and she was stabbed instead. Queen Olabisi stopped short in her tracks, as she could not believe what had just happened. She held Queen Adekemi in her arms and told her that she was sorry. She said she never meant for their story to end this way. Queen Olabisi screamed as she held the dying Queen Adekemi in her arms. The sound of her screams echoed through the execution grounds. She yelled, "Demon of the evil forest, I rescind your offer. Take my life for my daughter's life. Please, save my daughter," Queen Olabisi wailed. Queen Adekemi was drifting in and out of consciousness, but she was as confused as everyone else about what was going on. There was a loud sound of thunder before lightning struck Queen Olabisi. Queen Olabisi immediately started to age. Her youthful facade melted away, and the wizened face of the old woman that she truly was began to appear. By the end of her transformation, Queen Olabisi had transformed into an aged Queen Aduke, the former wife of King Adetunji, who was banished to the evil forest. The old and withered Queen Aduke fell to the ground as the spell that was keeping her alive was no longer in effect. Her daughter, Queen Adekemi, was now healed. Queen Adekemi held her aged mom in her arms. A lonely tear dripped down the side of her face as she watched her mom die in her arms. As Queen Aduke died, her eyes were filled with hatred and regret. They glazed over as life drained from the body of the former queen. The battleground was quiet for a while as the Queen of Imole and the former Queen of Oriade withered and died right before their eyes. The warriors of Imole were stunned by the turn of events, and their faith in their king faltered. Just as their resolve to fight began to wear off, King Kola, enraged and confused by the turn of events, growled for his men to continue fighting. However, the war was no longer in their favor. The warriors of Oriade and Iremo were emboldened by the demise of Queen Olabisi, who was also the former Queen Aduke of Oriade village. They pressed on with their attack with renewed intensity. King Babatunde's hands were no longer in shackles. He was a bit shaken by the turn of events, but unarmed and unwavering beside his wife Queen Adekemi and King Adetunji. King Babatunde raised his hands to silence the chaos, and a loud thunder could be heard in the distance as he did this. An unusual silence descended upon the battleground. "People of Imole," Babatunde boomed, its voice filled with both power and compassion. "This fight is not yours. We, the people of Oriade and Iremo, have no quarrel with you. The greed of your king has led you astray." His words resonated with some of the Imole warriors. They exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of their king's cruelty settling upon them. Seeing the doubt waver in his men's resolve, King Kola bellowed, "Do not listen to his lies. They are weak, and their rainmaker is nothing but a trickster." Babatunde knew some people thought that his power was gone, and he was more than happy to prove that he was still the most powerful rainmaker they had ever met. Babatunde raised his hands to the sky, and a single tear rolled down his cheek as he pleaded to the heavens. In response, a single fat raindrop splashed onto the parched earth. Then it was followed by another drop and another. In a few seconds, a cleansing downpour encapsulated the entire battlefield. The warriors of Imole village turned their faces skywards, taking in every drop of rain like it was their last. They lowered their weapons and knelt before King Babatunde, pledging their loyalty to him. The rain felt like a symbol of life and hope, washing away the greed and confusion that had led to the conflicts. They all wailed, "All hail King Babatunde, the greatest rainmaker of our time." King Kola remained as defiant as ever, and instead of kneeling before Babatunde, he launched towards Babatunde with a dagger glinting in his hand. However, King Babatunde was more powerful whenever it rained, and he could see the move even before King Kola made it. A bolt of lightning split the sky, striking the floor just a few centimeters from where King Kola was. King Kola stopped in his tracks and was engulfed with fear. King Kola knew that King Babatunde had just shown him mercy. The next lightning might not miss the target next time. The rain continued to fall, a gentle but powerful force. It cleansed the land and the hearts of those present. The warriors of Oriade, Iremo, and Imole helped each other find shelter, a team spirit never seen before among warriors of different villages that were not Oriade and Iremo. Later, under a sky washed clean, King Adetunji, weary but resolute, approached Babatunde and Adekemi. "You have saved not only your life, Babatunde," he said, his voice filled with gratitude, "but you have also prevented a war and shown the true meaning of strength." "It was a combined effort, Your Majesty," Babatunde replied, bowing his head. "The bravery of our warriors and the unwavering love of my wife played a significant role." King Adetunji smiled at Adekemi, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Indeed, you are both a credit to the villages of Oriade and Iremo." A peace treaty was signed between Iremo, Oriade, and Imole. King Kola, stripped of his power and pride, was forced to return to his village as a newcomer who was no longer worthy of being king, forever marked by the shame of his actions. News of the events at the execution grounds spread far and wide. Babatunde, the rainmaker who defied the curse of the queen and brought peace through rain, became a legend. His story served as a reminder that true power lies not in vengeance or greed, but in compassion, unity, and the unwavering belief in the good that resides within all of us. As for Iremo, the kingdom flourished under King Babatunde's guidance and Queen Adekemi's unwavering support. The rain continued to fall frequently and in the right amounts, nourishing the land and bringing prosperity to his people. The memory of Queen Aduke, who also deceived King Kola while pretending to be Queen Olabisi, served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the destructive nature of hatred and the importance of forgiveness and redemption. The end.